Hello everyone, I am koga959, and today is actually one of those videos where I did a demo of a modeling amp called the Line 6 Spider 4, and I said at the end of the video that I would clarify and explain what happened to some of the footage we had of some of Blood Embassy's material that I had deleted due to unseen, well, actually, that's a lie. I would have said unforeseen circumstances is that Blood Embassy was a band that I had formed back in high school, and we went through many people. It started out with some of my class, me and Irvin Contreras. We first started by jamming and coming up with ideas. I was just learning bass at the time, which I think is around here somewhere. But I started taking it when I started growing up after I got out of college, which I'm still going back. But I was recruiting at the time, and I wanted to create a logo that started this whole thing, which I believe is give me 1 second, guys. Normally I don't do this in the middle of a video, but I'm gonna go find, because we have a CD cover of it, but trust me, it's not easy to find. But I'm going to try to tell you the story as I'm looking for it. Ah, here it is. So, honestly, people have been wondering what Blood Embassy stands for. What does it mean? Let's see, I shut my amps. Blood Embassy, for me, originally was just a name of a band. That whatever we went through, whatever stories we had that we couldn't tell anybody else, we explained through music. And this originally was the prototype for Blood Embassy. But thanks to Corey Frank and some other of our friends, his channel, Sam Cook, he created this logo for Blood Embassy, which then, years later, when I started running through Custom Ink to really get our name out there, because our band was the only one in Madison. Because our guitarist, his name is Asif Kadir, if he's seeing this, glad you're doing better, buddy. He got us far, but we had met at Greg Kinzer's guitar shop. I was picking up an 8-string guitar, which I've demoed a few times, but I have not ever put on this channel. And what had happened was, in a nutshell, that I auditioned him, and it worked out. And I was learning guitar and bass at the same time, along with the banjo, the ukulele, and a lot of other instruments all at once. At the time, I unfortunately was going through a lot. I had a friend of mine, well, you could see ex-fiance, who we were, I never got to pop the question, but it was a girl named Isabella. She and I were very close, and after we lost contact, that she had faked her death, and I find out 5 years later, she lied. But that's besides the point. Is that I wanted to create a piece of music that would recreate the feeling of what I felt in those 5 years of waiting. There was a lot of family drama. There was a lot of things with that and work that clashed with our band schedules that would make things difficult for us to practice. But right as we had moved from where I lived at the time, which was on Delaware Drive here in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, where I still live, we ended up moving to an apartment that we lived in across the hall near almost 18 years ago now. And I had started making t-shirts, which I have. This is a newer one that I'm trying to find a way to post them. I've made some money off them. See, I know every band has a logo that means something, but for me, I wanted to go abstract. I wanted to go outside the box. Kind of something you don't normally see. Kind of almost like something you see in a video game, but I thought it'd be pretty cool. I also started building guitars from either local guitars I found at a local pawn shop that were abandoned, which the one that's hanging on, which I just found hanging on the wall, was from a friend that I used for a very long time as a bass player. And as I progressed through musician, and I started self-teaching myself songs, running scales, musician-inspired music books, I got better and better and better and better. Exploring every single subgenre there is out there, including main genres from country to death metal to gospel, which is where I started as a bass player, all the way to now, which I'm more just mellowing out with classic indie punk rock. But what had happened with the band was there was a lot of our guitarist, he did a lot of drugs, he drank a lot. There was a lot of things which I'm going to leave for his own discretion. I'm going to leave it out of this video because it would cause a lot of legal issues, and I would not want to restart the war that went down with us 3 years later. Blood Embassy was together for 4.5 years, and that's a long time to be in a band with somebody I can harshly admit, bluntly, I kind of hated for a very long time because there was control issues, there was transportation issues, there was a lot of egos. Now, Paul Morris was a part of the he wasn't part of the reason the band broke up. He's part of the reason that we're reforming right now, is that for over a while, we met back in college when I was 19. He was 40 at the time. It wasn't until a couple of years later, he was in his 50s, that we had recently become a band. That I needed a drummer. So when I started because I started as a drummer, I was a bass, clarinet, tenor sax, and a clarinet player. Then I went to bass, moved up to guitar, and then when I started growing up a little more, over the years past, I started learning almost everything. But not everything, really. But to sum it up, this situation right now is that when we hit our third and fourth year, there was a lot of arguing. There was no physicality whatsoever. But I want to say there were some good times. We were proud of one another that every time somebody got a new piece of gear, a new guitar, a new amp, we earned it. And our name at Mickey's Tavern is synonymous, I can proudly say. But honestly, I've been holding back a lot of frustration, pure rage, and anger that put me in a very bad spot mentally and physically. I almost got hospitalized twice. I was in a couple accidents, not because I bike everywhere. Still trying to get my license, not giving up on that. But there were times I wanted to quit music altogether. And there was a lot of people, including my family, who did believe in me, and people such as Ian Melrose, Anna Cedarquist, Steve Sveum, David Rush, which were the teachers who helped me through my musical journey as a child growing up. High school, I was in Steve Sveum's band class for 3 years in a row. At the time, being a tenor sax player, it taught me that, being in a band is like being with a family. There's going to be fighting, and there's going to be times we're not always going to agree. But at the end of the day, it's all about the music and coming together for that. But last year, back in 2023, I couldn't do it. We had a verbal altercation that led to a scream fest that Curtis Campbell, which I'm going to reveal, is my real name, which it got to a boiling point. We could have torn each other apart, and we probably, if a couple of friends of ours, John Draves, Chris Pang, and a couple of others had not interfered, would have been quite inadvertently catastrophic. We would have probably injured one another. We probably would have ended up hurting someone, but it didn't get that far. What did it was laying blame bringing up personal issues, family, and other that into the studio where we practice at Peng's warehouse. There was also times that because I don't just play guitar and bass, I do the guitar tech work for the band as well, which means I have to restring, I have to set up, and I have to do a lot of other things for the guitar to make sure they work properly. I would grab my bike, I would pedal my way all the way to Madison with the guitar on my back, rain, snow, or sunshine. If it was like blistering hot, I would still go. But the thing was, the first time I did it, I told him, look, first repair is on the house. Second time, okay, you're going to have to start paying me some money to get this done. Third time, I started snapping. Because I was using well over $200, and I was losing almost $500 a week for repairs alone. Trying to keep everything up to date. His guitar didn't have a case at the time. He was in the studio. He doesn't want to admit, but he was a little reckless, as was I. But I made sure we keep everything running. Sorry, guys. But honestly, now that I'm here, I'm still alive. I'm still in the gym, still as a swordsman, still thinking about my future. That's the one thing that kind of got me. You would criticize my family or any drama I would want to talk to him about because I trusted him. And honestly, it didn't work. It's not it was somebody you can trust, but he would come back and bite you. It's kind of like, okay, somebody you can trust is standing right behind you, right in the middle of that one battle when you need him the most. And what does he do? And this is metaphorical, guys. He goes, either he stabs you in the back, or he shoots you in the back of the shoulder, and he leaves you for dead. Now, he didn't do that, literally, because I wouldn't be here right now if he did. But the point is that there was more than just verbal and physicality, not just integral and morals that were broken during these scream fests, disagreements, and anything that led to the band breaking up. Is that it also went through text messages, which I wish I could pull it up on this phone, but I can't. Because everything is locked up and deleted. Because I wanted to forget about the drama and move on. We had screenshotted everything, everyone in our networks to know about it, which included my mother, some friends, people from work that we used to work with, because Mike, he was his manager at the time, and I worked at Pizza Hut back when I was 19. And honestly, it got very personal. It doesn't matter about skill level. It shouldn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't even matter about sexual orientation. Or the one thing that I will actually bring up that they criticized me about is whether or not I was a virgin or not. Just because I didn't do drugs, I didn't smoke, I didn't even socially drink because of what it did to because of my father. He hasn't been around for 27 years. The only time he was when I was 3 months old, and that doesn't even count in my book. But overall, the drama is done. The band is reforming. We have 3 people right now, so shout out to Paul Morris, Eddie. I hope you guys are doing better. I did, first time at 27, got a tattoo of the bass clef and treble clef on my left arm. Music has been in my life and my family for a very long time. My grandfather, who was very fond of country and Irish music, our family I was Irish born. There were 2 musicians in our family, some singers, which they didn't continue it after high school, which was my uncle, my mother, and I know one of my cousins is involved with music and all that. But after some time to really think about it, about what would happen to me if I had quit the band right on the spot, which I did. I told him, look, if you're going to scream at me like this, then you get your wish. And I quit. I quote. He came back, which I'm going to tell you guys this. I came back to get my gear. And what had happened really was it turned into an all-out scream fest that got 50 times worse than only when I was starting to get help as a child from my anger and my anxiety issues. It runs in on my dad's side of the family. I think everybody in this world does eventually, even starting when you're getting up there in age. Is that it got the best of me that anything he said set me off. And it was just like it was literally a hair trigger, because there was a phrase that he used that I don't ever like hearing. I don't think anyone whose father has been in their life or has been dealing with the alcohol issue, or as we call it, the alcoholic curse, as some of my family does call it, that when I heard the phrase, him saying straight to my face, kid, you don't know your father abandoned you, it hit me hard. And it had destroyed me, and I started attacking myself on the way home. I silenced myself for a very, very long time. All because I don't hate my father. I don't agree with half the things that he did in life. I don't like the fact that he's not here right now. But I can't control that. But the point is, what happened with that band, it destroyed me as a person. In this video, its purpose is not just to show you the definition of how much change I have been through since the very beginning, but what happened during that duration of time, what it will do to a person when there is arguments. You bring your personal life, you bring all your problems from work, family dramas, sibling rivalries, anything into that studio when the band is all about the music. But the only thing that's left in my mind I want to leave in this video that I will say, I'm sorry if it seems like I'm venting and I'm running my mouth, but under the hood, after every time I got angry, he could have taken my life multiple times. I have to confess, he has gotten high. He used acid. He used a lot of recreational psychological drugs. He had me drive his car to some of the open mics. There was only one time he could have costed me my shot at my license. Was when an Uber driver, which at the time was a cab before they started using Metro Bus full time, he tapped our back bumper. Asif got out of the car, and we let it go. We went to the open mic. But every time we practiced at the studio, we were golden. We were ready to go. We were focused. But every time we went to the open mic, not all the time. Brandon Wilson sometimes we had somebody on the bongos, we had me on guitar or bass. He would be all over the place, cross-faded, he'd be high, drunk before the show, and unfortunately it led to a lot of controversy at Mickey's Tavern, which I won't give a shout out to them. You can tell them, rest assured, that Zato Black Rose will be coming home very soon. And that's why I continue going solo while the band is reforming. Nobody should ever have to live through as much as I did. But I can confidently say that there are other people out there who have gone through worse than I did. I already know for a fact there's going to be a lot of reactions, there's going to be a lot of backlash with this video, but I'm ready to take everything that anyone has to say. I want to give a shout out to every subscriber, every person who's ever watched my videos and stood and stayed with us ever since the very beginning when I was 18. Now I'm 27 right now. Well, if I'm doing the math right, almost over 11 years, almost over 8-9 years that I've been doing this. Music is, including physical education, has been in my life longer than I can imagine. It all started with Guitar Hero. Anyways, guys, I'm glad that you stuck around till the end of the video. And I will say, I am not going to give up. I am not going to quit. I will probably be slow on making videos from time to time. But I can promise you all this. Koga959 has come home. And he will be here the next video that drops. So remember, everyone, like, subscribe, rock on, keep your head up. I'll see you soon.